Hello, brave souls. I'm trying to do this live for once. I've never tried to do these stories live before because honestly, I kind of have a problem with just reading without making making mistakes. So hopefully this isn't a giant shit show, and let's get to reading a story. The one I have today is a nuclear apocalypse style story. It's called "The Clicking in the Dust." And I don't know about you, but I can't get enough of like nuclear apocalypse type stories, mainly probably because of all the scary stuff that's happening in the world right now. So without further ado, here it is, The Clicking in the Dust. The Geiger counter clicked softly against my hip as I trudged through the gray wasteland. 3 quick clicks. Pause. 2 slow clicks. Pause. Repeat. A rhythm I'd grown accustomed to over 15 years of scavenging the ruins of what had once been America. My name is Dr. Eliza Mercer. Before the bombs fell, I was a radiation psychiatrist at MIT. I was a radiation physicist at MIT. Now, I'm just another survivor, using what I know to stay alive in a world poisoned by nuclear fire. The dreams had started 3 months ago, always the same. Concrete corridors bathed in emergency lighting, a massive machine humming with power, and a name repeated over and over: Facility 23. I'd never heard of it before, but in the dreams, it felt like home. Today, my wandering had brought me to an area I hadn't explored before, a stretch of barren land 50 miles east of what used to be Pittsburgh. The yellow-tinged sky seemed darker here, the ash piled higher against the bones of an old highway structure. That's not right, I muttered to myself, staring at my detector. The radiation levels were fluctuating in a pattern I'd never seen before, rising and falling in irregular intervals, almost like a heartbeat. I followed the signal, my boots crunching against the brittle remains of what might have been a suburban neighborhood. The pulsing grew stronger as I approached a small hill that seemed oddly symmetrical for a natural formation. Wind had blown away enough of the ash to reveal what looked like a concrete bunker entrance, half buried in the hillside. Faded government markings decorated the massive door, which hung partially open. A security breach that should have been impossible for a facility of this type. I hesitated at the threshold. My detector now pulsing rapidly in sync with the radiation waves. Professional curiosity overcame caution, and I slipped through the gap. Inside, emergency lighting still functioned, casting everything in a dim red glow. What struck me immediately was a lack of dust on the floor, or rather, the presence of footprints in what dust there was. Fresh footprints. Hello? I called out, immediately regretting breaking the silence. My voice echoed down the corridor and disappeared into the darkness. No response. Moving deeper inside, I found a small living area with supplies neatly arranged. Canned food, purified water, batteries. A lantern sat on a metal table, still warm to the touch. Someone had been here recently. Beyond the living area was what appeared to be an administrative section. In one office, I found a locked cabinet that yielded easily to the pry bar I carried. Inside were journals, technical logs detailing experiments on something called quantum radiation exposure, and references to temporal displacement of consciousness. The final entry, dated 3 weeks after the bombs fell, sent a chill down my spine. Success achieved, but at what cost? The power requirements were more than anticipated. Only the nuclear generators withstood the surge. We've opened the pathway, but it's unstable. They're coming through now. God help us all. As I sat down the journal, I became aware of a sound emerging from deeper within the facility. A clicking, but not like my Geiger counter. This was more deliberate. Click, click, click. Pause. Click, click. Pause. 3 quick clicks. 2 slow ones. Just like my detector's usual pattern in the wasteland above. My own detector suddenly spiked. the needle jumping into the red zone. At the same moment, I heard what sounded like whispering coming from behind a heavy door marked containment. Standing before that door, I found an irrational certainty that whatever waited on the other side was connected to my dreams. I found an access terminal nearby, and on a hunch, tried entering codes I found in the journal. The door slid open with a pneumatic hiss, revealing a staircase leading downward, the clicking sound now louder and more insistent. Each step down seemed to take me further from reality as I knew it. The staircase descended far deeper than I should have been structurally possible. The air grew warmer rather than cooler, and the concrete walls gave way to a strange, reflective material I couldn't identify. My detector was useless now, the needle pinned to the maximum reading, but I didn't need it anymore. I could feel the radiation prickling against my skin like static electricity. 20 minutes into my descent, the first time slip hit me. One moment I was carefully making my way down the stairs. The next I was standing 3 flights lower with no memory of having walked there. It was as if someone had cut frames from the film of my life. Then the flashes started. Brief moments where the facility transformed around me. The dilapidated stairwell would suddenly appear pristine, bustling with scientists in lab coats. In one flash, I saw a team gathered on a whiteboard covered in equations I recognized from quantum field theory. And there, pointing to a diagram at the center of the board, was me. Or someone who looked exactly like me, but with her hair styled differently, wearing clothes I've never owned. The flashes became more frequent as I descended. In one, I saw scientists frantically working at control panels as emergency alarms blared. In another, the same scientists were arguing, one screaming, "We can't shut it down now!" When I finally reached the bottom of the staircase, I found myself facing a set of massive doors emblazoned with the words "Quantum Containment Chamber." The clicking sound was now a constant rhythm coming from beyond. The doors slid open at my approach, revealing a vast, circular room at least 100 feet in diameter. At its center stood a machine that defied description. Part particle accelerator, part computer, with components that seemed to shift and change as I tried to focus on them. It pulsed with unearthly light in perfect synchronization with the clicking sound. Around the machine were figures that, at first, I mistook for humans. They moved erratically around the chamber, their forms translucent and shimmering like heat waves over hot asphalt. When the doors closed behind me with a heavy thud, they all stopped moving simultaneously and turned toward me. One of the figures separated from the group and approached. As it drew closer, its features solidified enough for me to see its face. My face, but older, with radiation burns scarring the left side. The eye on that side clouded and blind. "You're earlier than the others," my doppelganger said, her voice distorted as if speaking through water. "That's good. We have more time." What are you?" I managed to ask. "I'm you, Eliza. One version of you, anyway." She gestured to the other figures, who had resumed their movements around the machine. "We're all you. From different timelines, different branches of possibility." "I don't understand," I said, though a horrible suspicion was forming in my mind. "Do you remember working here?" she asked. "No, I worked at MIT. I never heard of Facility 23 until the dream started," she finished for me. "That's how it begins for all of us. The dreams are memories bleeding through from other timelines." She led me closer to the machine, explaining as we walked. Facility 23 was developing technology to protect human consciousness from extinction. When intelligent agencies confirmed nuclear war was imminent, we, the scientists here, activated the device in desperation. It was supposed to send our consciousness forward in time, beyond the radioactive period, she continued. But something went wrong. Instead of moving literally through time, we created a loop where multiple versions of ourselves exist simultaneously across different timelines. We reached a control panel, and she waved her hand over it. Hang on. A holographic display appeared, showing dozens of intersecting lines. Each line is a timeline, a version of reality created by our experiment. And each of us, she gestured to the shimmering figures, is drawn back to the facility eventually. Every new arrival destabilizes the quantum field further, causing the anomalies you've been detecting in the wasteland. But I survived the bombs, I protested. I remember the flash, the destruction. Do you? She asked softly. Or did your mind create those memories to make sense of your existence in the wasteland? You aren't a survivor, Eliza. You're a temporal echo, a consciousness that was sent back by invented a new past. A consciousness that was sent back but invented a new past. As she spoke, more memories flooded my mind. Not the false ones of survival, but true ones of working in this facility, of helping design the quantum accelerator, of standing with my colleagues as sirens warned of imminent nuclear strikes. The clicking, I said suddenly. What is it? The machine counting down to critical failure, she replied. When it reaches 0, all timelines will collapse into one. What happens then? We don't know. She turned to face me fully, her damaged face solemn. You have a choice to make, Eliza. The same choice all of us faced when we arrived. You can help stabilize the machine, which will maintain this loop, this endless cycle of suffering, but also existence. Or you can shut it down, potentially erasing everyone but ending the nightmare. What did you choose? I asked. I chose to stabilize it, she said. So did most of us. The instinct to survive is strong. And what happens if I choose to stabilize it? You become the next guide, she explained. When the newest version of us arrives, you explain everything, as I'm doing now. Then you join the others. She gestured to the shimmering figures. While the new arrival takes your place, it's an endless cycle. I looked at the machine. It's pulsing now visibly slower, the clicks more spaced out. And if I shut it down? None of us have chosen that path, so we don't know. Theory suggests a collapse back to the original timeline, either to the moment before activation or to the total non-existence. The choice seemed impossible. Condemn myself and all these versions of me to an eternity of half-existence? Or risk complete annihilation? But as I stood there, watching the shuffling, shimmering figures of myself trapped in endless repetition, I knew what I had to do. How do I shut it down? I asked. My doppelganger's face shows no surprise, only a weary acceptance. The primary control panel. Enter the emergency shutdown code. 234217. Epsilon. As I approached the panel, the other figures began to notice, moving toward me with increasing speed and urgency. My doppelganger made no move to stop them or me. I entered the code with trembling fingers. The machine's pulsing faltered, and the clicking accelerated, no longer in its measured rhythm, but rapid and chaotic. What happens now? I asked, turning back to my doppelganger. But she was already changing, her form becoming more transparent, dust motes swirling where solid flesh had been moments before. Now we find out, she whispered as she faded. Around me, the chamber began to collapse, reality itself seeming to fold inward. The others figured dissolved into swirling ash, their mouths open in silent screams or perhaps relief. I felt my body becoming lighter, less substantial. The clicking stopped, and for a moment, there was absolute silence, a void of non-existence that felt like peace. Then, birds singing. Sunlight on my warm face, or sunlight warmed my face. I opened my eyes to find myself sitting at a desk in an office I somehow recognized as mine. A calendar on the wall showed a date 15 years in the past, the day the bombs fell. My computer screen displayed an urgent message. Facility 23 project activation approved. Implementation begins 1400 hours. The time on my computer read 9:17 a.m. I had hours before the bombs would fall, before desperate scientists would activate a machine they didn't fully understand. Hours to try to stop it, to warn others, or to simply accept that some loops can't be broken, only understood. As I rose from my desk, I noticed my hands momentarily flickering, becoming transparent like those figures in the chamber. In my pocket, I felt something I didn't remember putting there, a small radiation detector. I pulled it out and watched as its needle moved in a pattern I knew by heart. 3 quick clicks, pause. 2 slow clicks, pause. Repeat. The loop wasn't broken. It had only changed. Outside my window, a flash of light brighter than 1,000 suns began to bloom on the horizon. So I know that's a little different than my normal zombie stories, but I love just odd, like, time paradox stories, and obviously nuclear apocalypse stories are like probably my second favorite besides zombie stories. So this is mainly just a test of the stream. I wanted to make sure that the music in the background wasn't too loud. I wanted to make sure that the what do you want to call it? That the mic sounds good before I move it over to my actual main channel. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Come back next time for some more scary stories. And as always, remember to face your fears.